Jolly welcome, everyone. My name is Yhurgis, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about MvM. Now, if you are like me, you've probably played quite a bit of Man vs. Machine. Not as many as some people, but enough to really get the gist and know how things work. You probably know the meta pretty well for Tale of Two Cities, and maybe have gotten some pretty cool rewards. Maybe not in Australia, but cool rewards nonetheless. And Man vs. Machine really does leave an impact. It is an important game mode for Team Fortress 2, in my personal opinion. It was a lot of fun, a lot of really cool missions, but you kind of, stop playing it because it gets a little bit old. Especially when the only missions that you can really play are, four missions or four different levels for one mission, technically, if that's how we're going to word it. And that is Tale of Two Cities, because that's really the meta for farming out Australiums or the potential Australian pan. So I'm not sure, if anyone else is playing any of the other missions out there. I've tried this year. It's really difficult to find a queue of anyone, but I'm sure it is possible if people look for it hard enough. That being said, with new missions coming out, maybe the meta might change. Maybe that might bring in more people to play some of the other missions. Who knows? But I definitely know that people are going to be playing the newest stuff that comes out with each update. And that in itself is great. It's a great time to join in when everyone's trying it out, trying to figure out what's going on, what's the new meta. Have changes occurred that will ultimately reface Man vs. Machine and how we play it. There's going to be potentially new robot variants. There's going to definitely be new maps, which I'm excited for. Who knows? It might even overlap with the Halloween update. So we might see another variant of Wave 666, which in my opinion is a very, very fun mission. But of course, it's only one mission. You can only play it enough times before you get the idea and you're done with it. That being said, I would like to see another mission that incorporates these zombie mercs and going against, a lot of zombie mercs. It was a lot of fun. I would do it again in a different map, perhaps. That being said, that kind of brings me to my next point. There's new missions, apparently, that they're wanting to bring on. I think the general structure of Man vs. Machine is that these robots are carrying bombs, either on their backs or through tanks, and they're trying to deliver it to the final point which you are supposed to defend. Now, if there is a way for modders or map makers to change this to where that's not the integral point of the game mode, then I would love to see some maps uploaded onto the Steam Workshop doing such. I'll probably try to look into them, but from what I've seen, the general structure is protecting from bomb delivery. If there were a possibility for a new map to be an endless mode, let's talk, say, like a COD Zombies, kill each wave, and each wave gets harder, and ultimately it never ends, I'd love to see that. I would very much love to see that. I think that would be pretty popular. I'd also love to see maybe if there's simply a kill this many zombies to end the wave and survive 10 waves and at the end face a boss. I think that would also be really cool because a lot of people online have been talking about a robot Saxton Hale, how they would love to see that as a new robot variant. I think that would be awesome. Like, let's just say, people are to survive 6 waves of robots. There's no bomb delivery, nothing like that. You just have to simply kill every robot that comes into the map, and they come in from different directions. There's no real, rail or trail way solution to kill, these robots. Instead, they're surrounding you from all corners, and you have to survive and kill them all. And at the very end, you face a robot boss, which is practically Robo Saxton Hale. I think that would be amazing. But that is wishful thinking. I think it would be really cool to maybe see some tweaks on particular weapons that are used for MvM. Not to break anything, but maybe to just buff some things, maybe provide new upgrades, just to freshen things up for people who probably played quite a bit already. I think having new rewards would also incentivize people to keep playing it for quite a while. People have already gone ahead and uploaded Australian skins, namely like the shotgun, flare gun, pieces like that. Everyone knows that I love the flare gun, and I would probably use the Australian flare gun if it's not too expensive to obtain. The Australian shotgun, I'm sure, would probably be just as expensive, if not more expensive, than the pan. And going by, previous logic of, the frying pan, the Australian frying pan specifically can be used by all classes. So why wouldn't the Australian shotgun be able to be used by all classes? I think it'd be cool. The scout could use it, as his primary. The demo man could use it as either his primary or secondary. I'm not sure what would be better or worse, but then we'd have a demo man actually using a shotgun, like in the actual trailer, and I think that would be hilarious. But yeah, maybe people would probably refrain from using a shotgun aside from the scattergun on their scout. Who knows? Maybe if it's flashy enough, then people would go for it. But yeah, that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people talk about and want to see. Obviously there's things like the Australian gunslinger people have uploaded. An Australian market gardener was another one. I'd love to see an Australian power jack. Even though I love my Australian extinguisher, and that's kind of a little bit of an icon for me in particular. I think the power jack is a really, really good melee weapon, and there's no shame in using it or wanting an Australian version of it. So I think that would be great for a lot of my pyro friends to have. Beyond that, another thing that people have talked about with regards to this update are possible tweaks to the game mode itself. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I don't know the validity of these comments or anything like that. I'm just kind of speaking out here, out into the open. People can correct me or inform me better than I know. But my understanding is Man vs. Machine has no balancing for parties less than 6. Like, what I mean by is there's no enemy scaling, there's no wave scaling. So if you are playing Man vs. Machine, your best attempt at completing the mission is by having a full party of 6. If you have 5 out of 6, it's going to be harder. If you have 4 out of 6, it's harder. If you have 3 out of 6, it's practically impossible unless everyone knows what they're doing, and those, so on and so forth. And it is basically impossible to complete a mission solo. That's because there is no scaling for Man vs. Machine. I would like to see that changed. I don't know how valid something like that could be done. Maybe it's got to be done through enemy health. Maybe it's got to be done through enemy counts. How many robots spawn per wave? Maybe, there's got to be money scaling for characters to be, able to upgrade sooner. Who knows? But generally, one thing that keeps a lot of people from playing some of the other missions is that there's not enough players queuing for that same map or queuing for that same mission. Tale of Two Cities is the one everyone plays because it's the easiest to get those Australians from, and it only requires 4 tickets, so you can do 4 tickets per tour, and you can try your luck at getting some good loot. That's what everyone does. That's how it's been for the past several, I don't know how many years, but it's been that way for a long time. And it's not going to change until we get a new meta or a system changes for the better, for scaling with fewer players than 6. I don't know how that's going to be done, or if the TF2 team would be willing to do such, but that is something that I personally, from a person looking into the dev team, would see that being very beneficial. Because if you can have people playing solo, people are going to buy tickets regardless, just for themselves, not just counting on other people to utilize those tickets. So people would be spending more money on tickets even just to play solo. And I think that's perfectly fine if it works out well. Because, ultimately, the whole point of buying a ticket is to play the game and potentially get rewards for completing the challenge. But at the same time, we want it to be a challenge that's actually possible. So if you're, without 5 other players, you are out of luck and you can't do that. So I think changing that would be great. But beyond that, there's not much else to really say. We won't know what the MvM update looks like until it comes out. But I'm very excited to see, all the stuff on the workshop. I see a lot of people, still talking about it. They thought that the actual update was coming out on August the 27th. Myself, I was a bit confused by the blog post. But, that time had passed, and it's clear that the update will probably take a little bit of time to, put together. They'll probably go through quite a bit of testing for the community maps before actually uploading it. But my hope is that it would overlap with the Halloween update and we could get some really, really cool zombie-like, missions. So we'll see. I just wanted to, check in on everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Things are going well on my end. I'll definitely try to make some more videos here and there, talk about a few things, play some other games. But it's good to see you guys. I can't wait for the update to come out. Expect content on that and my first reactions on it once I start playing it. So I'll see you guys later. Take it easy. Bye.